You're not broke because you're lazy. You're broke because no one ever told you the truth. You were sold a fantasy. Go to school, work hard, be loyal, save a little, retire happy. But that formula, it's dead. It died with pensions, with cheap housing, with the idea that one job could carry you for 40 years. And now, you're stuck playing a game with rules that no longer work. You grind, but you don't grow. You hustle, but stay broke. You do everything right, and still lose. Why? Because it's not about how much effort you put in, it's about what you're avoiding. There are 7 habits silently draining your potential, killing your momentum, and locking you out of the life you actually want. They're not obvious. They're not loud. But they are fatal. And unless you destroy them now, they'll bury your chances of wealth before you even begin. So if you're serious about getting rich, don't just ask what to do. Ask what to stop. Right now. 1. Working for just money. You think getting rich is about working hard? Think again. If hard work alone made people rich, construction workers and nurses would be millionaires. But they're not, and you know it. The truth is, most people in America are stuck on a hamster wheel, grinding for a paycheck, thinking it's the way out. It's not. It's a trap. You show up at your job every day, do what you're told, and hope that someday it'll all pay off. But that's not wealth building. That's survival. You're trading time for money, and worse, you're doing it without leverage. And without leverage, you're building someone else's dream, not your own. Look around. The richest people in America aren't working for money. They're making money work for them. You think Elon Musk punches a clock? You think Mark Cuban is worried about overtime? No. They build systems. They build assets. They build equity. And you're stuck waiting for Friday. That's the first deadly mistake. You work for money. They work for freedom. You're playing defense. They're playing offense. You chase security. They chase scale. And here's the kicker. You've been conditioned to believe that's noble. That grinding yourself into the ground is somehow admirable. It's not. It's outdated. It's broken. And it's making you poor. The American middle class is disappearing, and nobody's coming to save you. Inflation is eating your paycheck. Rent is climbing. Healthcare's a joke. And you're still showing up to a job that won't exist in 5 years. If you're only working for money, you're replaceable. AI is already doing your job faster, cheaper, better. So what do? You flip the game. You stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like a builder. You find a way to earn while you sleep. You learn to turn skills into income, then income into assets. You stop clocking in and start scaling out. Because if you don't, you'll blink and be 50, still waiting for that raise that never came. And the worst part? You'll have nothing to show for it but tired bones and missed birthdays. So here's the brutal truth. Working for just money is the slowest way to get rich, and the fastest way to stay broke. 2. Buying a lifestyle. You don't get rich by looking rich. You stay broke trying. That new car. It's not wealth. It's debt with leather seats. That luxury apartment. It's a polished cage. And those designer clothes. You're not impressing anyone who's actually successful. They're too busy wearing hoodies and equity. In America, there's a sickness. Lifestyle inflation. You make a little more, and suddenly you need the new iPhone, the weekend trip, the $300 dinners. Why? Because you think comfort equals success. But comfort is the enemy of wealth. Every dollar you spend trying to feel successful is a dollar you could have invested to become successful. Think about it. How many people do you know who got a raise and then upgraded their car? Or got a promotion and signed a new lease downtown? That's not growth. That's a trap. You're digging a deeper hole and calling it progress. The banks love it. The credit card companies love it. But your future self, he's suffocating under your flex. You want freedom? Stop buying what you can't afford to impress people you don't even respect. You want power? Start stacking assets, not receipts. Wealth whispers. Broke screams. I met a guy in Austin once. He made $400,000 a year and was living paycheck to paycheck. You'd never guess. Rolex, Tesla, private gym. But he was drowning. No investments. No ownership. No plan. His ego wrote checks his future couldn't cash. Meanwhile, I know a small business owner in Ohio who drives a beat-up pickup, lives below his means, and quietly owns $3 million in rental property. No Instagram. No drama. Just freedom. So here's the hidden truth. You don't get rich by showing it. You get rich by not needing to. And if you keep chasing status symbols, you'll never own anything real. You'll be stuck in a game of appearances while real wealth slips through your hands. So if you're serious about getting rich, here's your next move: stop buying a lifestyle and start building one. 3. Being ego-driven. You think you're always right? That's the fastest way to lose everything. Ego is a liar. It whispers that you're special, that you're the exception, that rules don't apply to you. But wealth doesn't care about your pride. The market doesn't care how smart you think you are. And reality, it will humble you faster than any failure ever could. I've seen it firsthand. Young founders who built a decent product, got early traction, then stopped listening. They ignored feedback, dismissed mentors, and doubled down on bad decisions just to protect their image. You know where they are now? Back at a 9-to-5 job, too proud to admit they burned it all down themselves. Ego is expensive. It costs you partnerships, customers, investors, and worst of all, growth. You want to be rich? Learn to shut up and learn. The most dangerous phrase in business is, "I already know that." Because once you stop learning, you start dying. You're not in control, you're in denial. Look at the legends: Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, Sam Altman. What do they all have in common? Curiosity, humility, obsession with truth, not being right. They ask questions. They test. They adapt. You get one win and suddenly act like you invented capitalism. That mindset will kill your momentum. I knew a guy who ran a 7-figure e-commerce brand, and when Facebook changed their algorithm, he refused to pivot. "I've cracked the code," he said. 2 months later, his ad costs doubled. His ego kept him from adjusting. His company died slowly while he kept blaming the algorithm. It wasn't the algorithm, it was him. His pride burned the bridge before the fire even started. Ego doesn't just ruin your decisions, it distorts your reality. You start hiring people who tell you what you want to hear. You start ignoring the numbers because they don't match your fantasy. And then you start falling, slowly at first, then all at once. So here's the brutal truth. If your ego is bigger than your willingness to adapt, you will lose. Maybe not today, but eventually. Because wealth isn't built on ego, it's built on evolution. And evolution requires one thing: killing the old version of you, again and again, no matter how good he looks in the mirror. 4. Doing everything yourself. If you're still trying to do everything alone, you're not building a business, you're building a prison. And guess who's the inmate? You. Every task you refuse to delegate is a chain around your growth. Every time you say, "It's just easier if I do it myself," you trade scale for control. And control feels good, until it crushes you. I've watched entrepreneurs in Dallas, Detroit, and Denver sabotage their own success because they couldn't let go. They wrote the emails, packed the boxes, built the website, edited the ads, answered customer service calls, and burned out. Not because their business was broken, but because their mindset was. You think hiring help is a cost? No. Doing it all yourself is the real expense. You don't get rich by being the hardest worker. You get rich by building machines that work without you. Systems, people, processes, multiplication, not martyrdom. Jeff Bezos didn't ship your Amazon order last night. He built something that could outlive him. You're still up at 2 a.m. tweaking fonts on your Shopify store. That's not hustle. That's ego in disguise. I knew a solopreneur in Phoenix who was making $15,000 a month, but working 80 hours a week. He wouldn't hire a virtual assistant, said no one could do it like him. 6 months later, he quit. Not because he failed, because he succeeded, and it broke him. You don't scale by stacking your to-do list. You scale by removing yourself from it. Delegation isn't weakness, it's wealth strategy. You hire slow, train right, and step out of the weeds. You document everything. You empower others. You stop being the bottleneck. Because here's the shocking truth. The longer you wait to delegate, the more money you leave on the table. And no investor, no customer, no future version of you is impressed by how many hats you wear. They care about one thing: results. And results require leverage. So if you're serious about getting rich, stop acting like a superhero. Be a strategist. Fire yourself from every task that doesn't require your brain, your creativity, or your decision-making. Build a team. Build a process. Build a business that doesn't collapse when you take a damn vacation. Or else you'll wake up 5 years from now with a worn-out body, a burned-out mind, and a business that dies the moment you stop showing up. 5. Passing the blame. Blame is cheap. Ownership is expensive, but it pays. If every problem in your life is someone else's fault, congratulations. You've just handed them the keys to your future. The moment you blame the market, the algorithm, your boss, your childhood, the government, your partner, your investors, you've lost. Because blame doesn't fix anything. It feels good in the moment. It gives you a story. But it also gives you nothing else. You stay exactly where you are. I've watched founders in LA burn through $500,000 in investor money and blame the market for bad timing. No, it wasn't the timing. It was the lack of discipline. The refusal to pivot. The ego that got in the way. And I've seen everyday people across the US blaming capitalism while sitting on a $1,200 iPhone, scrolling TikTok for 4 hours a day, eating out 5 nights a week, with zero investment plan, no budget, and no accountability. You're not poor because Jeff Bezos exists. You're poor because you don't take responsibility for your financial reality. That's harsh, but it's the truth. And the truth is your only way out. Blame creates victims. Responsibility creates builders. You don't get rich by waiting for perfect conditions. You get rich by solving imperfect problems with imperfect tools, and doing it anyway. You don't control the economy, but you control your response. You don't control your upbringing, but you control your discipline. You don't control the past, but you control whether it becomes an excuse or a lesson. I met a truck driver in Kentucky who made 6 figures on the road and built a rental portfolio from scratch. No college, no inheritance, just relentless ownership. Meanwhile, I've seen Ivy League grads with 6-figure jobs still whining about how unfair the system is. One is building freedom. The other is building a narrative. Guess which one gets rich? If you keep blaming, you stay blind. You can't fix what you won't own. And until you look in the mirror and say, "This is on me," nothing will change. No mentor can save you. No book will rescue you. No course will override your excuses. So here's the shocking truth. Every second you spend blaming someone else is a second you could have used to outgrow the problem. Your wealth begins the day your excuses end. 6. Having too many inputs. Information overload is killing your focus and your fortune. You think you're learning, but you're just drowning. Podcasts, YouTube videos, Twitter threads, newsletters, Reddit posts, TikTok gurus, it never ends. And the worst part? You confuse motion with progress. You scroll through advice all day, convincing yourself you're getting smarter, but you're not doing anything. You're just consuming. Like junk food for your brain. And just like junk food, it bloats you, mentally. Paralysis by analysis. So many voices in your head, you can't even hear your own. One guru tells you to invest in real estate. Another says it's crypto. One says build a personal brand. Another says buy boring index funds. So what do? Nothing. You stay stuck. You collect ideas like hoarders collect junk. No implementation, no strategy, just noise. I once coached a startup founder from Atlanta who subscribed to over 40 business newsletters. He read case studies daily, took notes, highlighted quotes, but never launched, never sold, never shipped, because he was too busy preparing to begin. Inputs are seductive. They give you the illusion of control. But wealth isn't built by knowing, it's built by doing. And to do, you need clarity. Not 100 strategies. Just one that you commit to. I've met people who changed their entire business model because a TikTok creator got 2 million views selling something different. That's not strategy. That's distraction. And distraction is the most expensive tax you'll ever pay. It steals your time, your energy, your confidence. You jump from one shiny thing to the next, hoping one of them will finally click. But none of them do, because the problem isn't the strategy. It's the overload. You can't go deep if you're always chasing what's new. Wealth requires conviction. Conviction requires silence. You have to unplug from the noise and get to work on something real. Filter out the voices. Pick your lane. Stick with it. Test. Adjust. Improve. That's the game. Not who read the most blogs. Not who bought the most courses. It's who executed the longest without quitting. So here's the truth no one tells you. The person who gets rich isn't the smartest, it's the one who ignores the most distractions. 7. Staying static. The most dangerous place you can be isn't broke, it's stuck. You're not failing, but you're not growing. You're not drowning, but you're not moving. You wake up, go to work, pay the bills, scroll your phone, sleep, and repeat. 4 years. That's not life. That's a coma with Wi-Fi. And the reason you're not rich? You're comfortable in the static. Comfort kills ambition. It whispers, "This is fine." It tells you to be grateful for mediocrity. It convinces you that progress is risky, that change is dangerous, that pushing further is greedy. But here's the brutal truth. Nothing grows if nothing changes. The richest people you admire, they reinvent themselves constantly. They evolve, pivot, adapt. They burn down what worked yesterday to build what's needed tomorrow. You're still clinging to an identity that stopped serving you 5 years ago. Still working the same job, in the same town, with the same mindset, hoping things will magically get better. But hope is not a strategy. Movement is. I knew a guy in Pittsburgh who had the same business model for 12 years. It worked, until it didn't. The market changed. The customers changed. But he didn't. He clung to the old way like it was a life raft. His revenue dried up. His staff left. His pride stayed. And now, he's bitter. Because he didn't move. Meanwhile, another founder I met in Miami launched 3 different businesses in 5 years, each one better than the last. Why? Because he refused to stay still. He outgrew his limits. He chased friction. He chose evolution over comfort. And now, he owns time. That's the game. If you're not evolving, you're dying. In this economy, with AI rewriting industries, capital shifting faster than ever, and markets that reward speed over size, standing still is suicide. You don't have to make a massive leap, but you do have to move. One new skill, one new connection, one new experiment. Every day. Forward motion. You build wealth by becoming someone new, again and again. So here's the final truth. If you want to be rich, you have to kill the version of yourself that's standing still. The quiet one. The hesitant one. The one who settles. Because no one's coming to save that version. But if you move, ruthlessly, relentlessly, you save yourself. And that's when everything changes. You're not here by accident. If you made it this far, it means something inside you already knows. The version of you that stays broke isn't the real you. It's the quiet version. The safe version. The obedient version they trained you to be. But now, you've seen the traps. You've seen what's holding you back. And no, it's not the market. It's not your boss. It's not your parents. It's the patterns. The quiet, daily patterns that feel normal, but are stealing your future. You don't fix them by thinking more. You fix them by moving. You don't wait for motivation. You build discipline. You don't wait to feel ready. You act while you're scared. That's how rich people are built. One hard decision at a time. So here's yours. Are you going to scroll past this and keep pretending you didn't hear the truth? Or are you going to get up and do something today that the broke version of you would never dare do? The choice isn't out there. It's you. It's always been you. Now prove it.